MLB action certainly on deck today with a large card. Donnie right side, Davis Maddock on the early line, Sirius XM channel 159. And we welcome in our Major League Baseball insider, Craig Mish, to the program on a Tuesday morning. A lot going on. Good morning, Craig.
Good morning. Great to be back with you here. We've got a lot of baseball action here tonight, as a matter of fact. And then, of course, on Thursday night, we got the NFL draft, trying to compact everything in, right? The NHL Stanley Cup playoffs, NBA, baseball as well. Great time to be a sports fan.
No, it certainly is. And by the way, let's get right to it here. Down in the South in Houston, the Houston Texans of the NFL, getting a lot of those headlines here, getting those good vibes for Houston. Luckily for them, maybe covering for the Houston Astros' brutal start, which they're going to take on the Cubs today. They're a slight favorite here on the road at a minus 110 price at the FanDuel Sportsbook. But Craig, talk about today's game and also, what's up with Houston? When is the turnaround coming here for us?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. We're still almost here at the end of April, and there's a possibility that they could be 6-7 games under 500. I don't think that their season can be lost in April, but maybe the division, if this continues. And look, they just aren't getting the performances that they thought that they would get. A couple of years ago, they signed Jose Abreu. I know he's taken a lot of heat. Another really tough start for him. Alex Bregman, who's going into a free agent season right now, is not having a Bregman-type season. Altuve's been amazing, and their pitching hasn't been very good. So if you combine all of those things going in a negative way, then you kind of see the outcome there. I mean, it's shocking to see actually Oakland be right there with Houston in terms of where they're at as far as the standings are concerned. But look, today is a game. I do think the Cubs have the advantage once again. Typically speaking, the Cubs lineup is better when they can play their lefties as opposed to playing their righties. And so I think that that's the scenario today. Now, France, a couple of starts ago, got really beat up. He was much better the last time out. Could be a close game today, but Cubs are playing good baseball. And until I see anything different from Houston, slight lean would be toward Chicago.
Got really no issue with that. I mean, long-term, huge picture, not that worried about the Astros. I think they'll probably end up winning, 84 games or whatever and finding a way to worm their way into the playoffs. We'll see. We have the Boston Red Sox traveling to play at the Cleveland Guardians today. Tanner Houck pitching for the Red Sox, Ben Lively pitching for the Guardians. I do find this hot start to the season a little bit surprising for the Guardians. We got Josh Naylor, absolutely tearing the cover off of the ball. Jose Ramirez is starting to turn things around. Stephen Kwan, great start to the year as well. What do you make of these two teams today?
Yeah, Cleveland with, I believe, the lowest, or maybe Oakland, but the second lowest payroll in Major League Baseball to get off to this good start. Maybe, Davis, we should not be surprised. Remember, last year, they hung around the entire year with a team that you did not expect to be there, and they're doing it yet again. In a one-game scenario, certainly you never know what can happen. And look, the Red Sox can't play as poorly as they were playing for the majority of the season. You would imagine at some point that they're going to go on a hot streak, and I don't think Cleveland is going to finish with 95 wins either. So these things will normalize themselves, but in this one-game scenario, not one of my favorite games, I think. I guess it's fair to say on the board, but yeah, you're absolutely right. They're playing good baseball. Basically, at this point, it's fair to say I think the Guardians are a pitching factory. I think that's fair to say. Whoever they call up pitches very well. So probably pass on the game today, but all the credit in the world to Cleveland.
Take a look at the American League Pennant odds at the FanDuel Sportsbook here, Craig. The New York Yankees coming at a plus 310 price. How about the Astros? Not having a great season, but second in line at a 5-1 price. The reason why we bring up the Astros is it's not an end of the season award where it's like, okay, end of the regular season, did you win? No, you have to win the playoffs, which means if Houston gets in the playoffs, they will be a player. Followed by plus 550 on the Orioles. Rangers, 6-1 price. Those are the teams under 10-1. Shaping up that American League Pennant. Do we agree or disagree? And also, any value on that board for you there, Craig?
Yeah, I think the same thing goes for where I had it at the beginning of the season. I think it's important to have an opinion. You plant your flag, so to speak. Mine was with the Orioles. I'm going to stick with it. Their window is now. Their offense is arguably the best in baseball, or right there as far as young talent is concerned. They're number one overall. They just called up Heston Kjerstad, so he is going to hit for them too. It doesn't matter who they play. They just basically bash, and at some point you would think that they'll add to that pitching staff, the back end of the bullpen, because when the window is now, you got to go for it. Houston, maybe they're still in that window, but there was a period of time for 5-6 years where there wasn't a deadline that went by, or a June or July, where the Astros weren't adding on to what they had. I think Baltimore is going to do that. And you know how I feel about the Yankees. At some point, I think that will turn a little bit for them the other way. So for me, it's still Baltimore. I understand why Houston is priced what they are. Davis made a good point. It's like they're the Lakers right now of baseball. Just find a way in. And would you be shocked if Houston won a short series against another team? You would not. So I think a lot of the pricing is right there, but I'm still on Baltimore.
Well, I think the pricing is right, but how disrespectful. I mean, how insanely disrespectful for that odds board to not include my Kansas City Royals with a winning record on April 23rd. They spend some money on pitching. They have Bobby Wood Jr. tearing the cover off of the baseball. They have some of the guys in the lineup who are not playing their best, but it's disrespectful to have the Minnesota Twins on there and not have my Kansas City Royals, who are playing today against the Toronto Blue Jays. Gausman taking the mound for the Blue Jays. Waka taking the mound for the Royals. Can you get with me here on the home dog Kansas City Royals, Craig?
Boy, this is one of those live bets, I think, in a battle of the bullpens. You know, Gausman has looked okay, but again, after 5 innings, you don't know how much deeper he's going to go. We know Michael Waka, Davis, is a 5-inning guy at this point. So tell me what the score is in the 5th inning. And some of these games, you know, I highly recommend in all sports, and I think that's why we do a great job here on the network. You have to watch some of this stuff and then react to it. And this is a typical game like that, where you watch what the game flow looks like. Maybe the game is tied at 2. And then at that point, if that's the case, you would side with the Royals. The Royals are doing a really good job on the back end of the bullpen. But I understand why Toronto is favored today.
Baltimore, L.A., a little bit later tonight, 9:38 first pitch, minus 156 favorite for Baltimore. The now first place Baltimore Orioles, Craig, did they get the job done tonight?
Yeah, probably so. Remember, I think it was last week on the show, Donnie, Ben is like, what about your Angels? You said they would go under. And now they lost 5 games in a row. I mean, the Angels are one of the worst teams in baseball, Ben. Of course, he's not here. Keep going against the Angels at this point. I mean, Mike Trout and what else do they have there? Let's be honest. They're now 9-14, trending toward 90 losses. They'll get there.
How much longer will Mike Trout be an Angel? Maybe they'll just let him go throughout his career, never make a trade, and never make the playoffs with him. We'll find out. But also, Newswire coming up next at 11 a.m. Craig Mr. B there, our Major League Baseball insider. More baseball coming up next. More diamond notes in this segment. Then we hit the ice with Pete Jensen of NHL.com coming up next, so don't go anywhere. A lot more hot topics to go. We got a few more games to take a look at in Major League Baseball. Donnie Rightside and Davis Maddock, 7:45 p.m. start Eastern tonight. That's Arizona and St. Louis. 2 lefties on the mound. Tommy Henry going up against Steven Matz. The favorite in this game opened up overnight as a minus 116 favorite towards the home team, St. Louis Cardinals. That's up a little bit here to a minus 126 live and a total listed at 8.5. Now, Davis, I look at this game and see Tommy Henry, the lefty on the mound. 90 batters faced in 2024, a 250 ISO power number, and a 407 weighted on-base percentage against here. That totals 8.5. We over, we under? What are we looking at tonight?
I mean, I definitely think you would feel comfortable going on the over if it was not the St. Louis Cardinals that were the team against it. Tommy Henry is one of the biggest. I mean, he is one of the biggest gas cans in Major League Baseball right now. It's actually kind of crazy that he has a job for a team that has World Series aspirations. But the Cardinals are just brutal, and they're brutal in a way that doesn't give you a ton of hope because it's their young guys who have just shown no development, right? Nolan Gorman, this great lefty power hitter, not a great lefty power hitter anymore. Brendan Donovan was supposed to be the new leadoff man of the future. Brutal. Victor Scott, they call him up. Brutal. Like so brutal that they had to send him back down. Jordan Walker, 22 years old, power hitting corner outfielder. Brutal. Alec Burleson, your DH, your switch hitting DH. Brutal. I mean, because last year the Cardinals were bad, but at least they were bad with, MVP caliber numbers from Goldschmidt. Arenado was still good last season. Some of the young guys were hitting all right last year. Nolan Gorman was hitting all right last year, and it was the pitching that was the problem. But now the pitching stinks, and they can't hit. So what is the plan here as an organization, right? You're throwing out Kyle Gibson every 5 days, Miles Mikolas, Steven Matz, just these total retreads. It's a staff full of number 3 starting pitchers. They're just not a good baseball team. I got no bet on this one. I mean, I would maybe do some player props or whatever. Maybe the Diamondbacks. I mean, it would make me sick to bet on Tommy Henry because I think he is so absolutely brutal as a starting pitcher. But just like a really, really uninspiring baseball team.
Got to bring back Yachty. Got to bring back the boys here. What, little maybe Wainwright action here. Get the clubhouse going. The good vibes for St. Louis. But you're right. One of those teams that's used to bringing up young players day in and day out that are ready to go from their great minor league systems. Hasn't worked out in their favor just yet this year. We'll see if that changes today with the Diamondbacks. Milwaukee and Pittsburgh. Wilson versus Falter. 6:40 p.m.
And as of right now, we don't have a confirmed starting pitcher for the Brewers. I imagine we'll get one here fairly soon. Falter is going to be pitching for the Pittsburgh Pirates. I'll just sight unseen say I'm probably on the Pirates side here just because they're a more fun team to watch. Don't the Brewers feel just very uninspiring? Basically the same team that they've been for the last 3 years. They never seem to get much worse, never seem to get much better, although they are now missing Corbin Burns.
By the way, take a look at the next game we're going to look at here. The Philadelphia Phillies, 7-game win streak, longest in Major League Baseball, currently going up against Cincinnati. Two lefties on the mound. Sanchez for the Phillies, Abbott for the Reds. Line in this game, overnight, -126 as a favorite towards the Philadelphia Phillies. That's now dropped a little bit here to -126, a total of 9 across the board. Rain in the forecast, 60 degrees with the wind blowing out to left field. What are we looking at today between the Fightins and the Reds?
I mean, the city of Philadelphia, they need a win. They need a win right now, and their only win can't be in filing a grievance against the National Basketball Association. So I'll go ahead and side with the Philadelphia Phillies here. Much better lineup than the Reds. We just talked about how some of their younger guys are not contributing. Not a high conviction play here, but I do like the Phillies -120 money line.
It feels like the Phillies here got Cy Young after Cy Young on the mound. You just saw Ranger Suarez yesterday absolutely dealing. Now you go to the lefty Christopher Sanchez today. You take a look at his numbers through 92 batters he's faced, an ISO of 0.48 and a weighted on base percentage of 270. If you look at the ISO power number to lefties, lefty on lefty crime out here for Sanchez, it's an absolute 0. We'll see what the Phillies can do tonight, see if that lineup cranks again. Easy victory yesterday. Another one in Great American Ballpark could be on deck if play through the raindrops in Cincinnati. But you know what? We covered Major League Baseball. We're going to win some of those games. We're going to lose some of those games. But next, we get a little bit of help out on the ice. Pete Jensen's to join us from NHL.com. Let's see what's going on the ice. Stay tuned. We'll be right back in just a matter of a few moments.